Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. And we'll start with a moment of reflection.
Let us be mindful of the needs of all of our citizens and advance only those causes that will ensure peace and harmony in our community now and always.
Our land acknowledgement, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Shinodan people. We acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge and philosophies of the indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none, we have the minutes. I need a motion that the following minutes be adopted as presented. The minutes of the October 28th, 2025 council meeting, the minutes of the November 4th, 2025 committee of the whole meeting. Could I have a motion to that effect? Councillor Wagner, second by Councillor Seven. Discussion on the minutes. All in favor? And that's carried. No petitions, no delegations, but we do have a public meeting. So I'll need a motion that the council meeting adjourned to hold a public meeting with respect to zoning bylaw amendment 02-25, 1830 Cressler Road. Moved by Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget. All in favor? And that's carried. Will the clerk please advise the method of advertising?
Notice of the public meeting was placed on the township website and mailed to residents within 120 meters of the subject lands.
So any person who wants further notice of a passage of a bylaw should give in writing their full name, address, and postal code to the clerk prior to leaving the meeting. And now I'd ask our senior planner, Bobby Cesar, to bring forward the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. I will be presenting tonight on zoning bylaw amendment application 0225 for 1830 Cressler Road. Next slide, please. So this map shows the lands for which the zoning bylaw is subject to. And the bylaw amendment is seeking to amend the home occupation provision to permit a home occupation with up to 4 non-resident employees, to increase the floor area of a home occupation from 40 meters squared to 119 meters squared, as well as to recognize and permit the existing storage of trailers on the northeast corner of the property. Next slide, please. So the subject lands are designated rural in the official plan. The primary uses in the rural area are agricultural related, or secondary uses. And staff are satisfied that the proposed amendment remains secondary to the agricultural portion of the property, consistent with the official plan. Next slide. The zoning bylaw, the current zoning of the property is A1. There's some examples of permitted uses in the A1 zone. Agricultural, home occupation is listed as one of those uses, as well as several other that aren't listed. Next slide. So this map kind of depicts where the zoning is subject to. So staff are recommending that the existing storage of trailers be limited to the northeast corner of the property, denoted in the cross-hatched area. And that the size be limited to 6,000 meters squared. Staff are also recommending that the northern and eastern extent of the use be appropriately screened through the method of a buffer strip to the satisfaction of the township. Next slide, please. This is just an aerial image showing the property. The red outlined area is where the storage of trailers is currently, or is where we're proposing to to limit that use. And then the blue dashed line shows the dwelling, which is where the home occupation will be located. Next slide, please. So the recommendation is that the Council of the Township of Wellesley adopt zoning bylaw amendment for file 0225 at 1830 Cressler Road to permit the following site-specific exemptions: to permit a home occupation for a financial services business with up to 4 non-resident employees, whereas the zoning requires all employees to reside on the premises. And further, to permit an increase in the maximum floor area for a home occupation from 40 meters squared to 119 meters squared. And further, to recognize the existing storage of recreational vehicles on the northeast corner of the property as a permitted use with a maximum area of 6,000 meters squared. The use shall be screened with a buffer strip along the entirety of the northern and eastern extent of the use to the satisfaction of staff. The end, if you have any questions, I'm
Okay,
happy to answer.
questions from council? Councilor Wagner?
If I'm not wrong, there was already a business on this property, an automotive repair business, was there not? And is it still not in existence? No?
No, that business ceases to exist. The home was recently sold to new owners, so that use is no longer there.
Is there not an office space in that that dwelling, that building? Mhm.
So I believe that was a some type of auto repair shop, let's call it something like that. The proposed home occupation is kind of a financial business, like somebody that manages financial assets for clients, kind of small to medium sized clients. So it's not really I wouldn't say it's the same kind of style of a business. That the house is a converted dwelling where they're going to live in one part and work in the other. And I think that's what he's asking for is probably better suited to his situation. So I don't know if I don't know if what state of repair that building would be in, if it'd be suitable for an office or not. But to us, the request was for a kind of a home occupation in the house. And we thought that was a reasonable request.
Okay.
Any other questions? I had just one question with regard to the trailer. So it's a trailer, they're renting space for trailer storage. Is that what am I understanding?
Yeah, I believe they rent out that space for seasonal trailer storage for RVs and what have you.
I guess you wouldn't have any idea on how many units would be there at one time, I guess.
No, I don't have that number for you.
Probably. 15. Okay. 50. Okay. That's fairly substantial. Okay, no other questions? Yes, Councilor.
What's your definition of the buffer zone? Planting trees or?
Yeah, Caitlin, if you could pull that slide up. So buffer strip is a defined term in the zoning bylaw. And it's up there on the screen. So it shall mean an area used for no other purpose than planting a continuous row of trees or an unpierced hedgerow of natural evergreens or shrubs not less than 1.2 meters in height at the time of planting, and must be of such species of or type so as to achieve a minimum height of 1.75 meters at maturity. A buffer strip shall have a minimum width of 1.5 meters unless otherwise specified in this bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
There's no questions? No. Are there any persons who wish to make oral or written submissions in opposition to the proposed bylaw? If so, would they please give their names, address, and postal code to the clerk and approach the, yes, you'd have to come up here. You're to microphone.
Good evening. Thanks for allowing me to.
Your name and address, sir?
Hello, it's Manfred Conrad, the neighbor
Okay.
on Weimar Line. And that property has been a concern to me for quite a while. I moved there 40 years ago because of ESL. And first they started with a repair shop and then the little trailers here and there we overlooked. And all of a sudden, for the last half year, it's been, it's too much there. It's an eyesore, to be quite honest. But I'm not opposed to it, to any of this, but a buffer strip, a 1.2 meter buffer strip will not do anything. Yeah, you might as well just plant some roses there. I mean, if it should be a minimum of 2 meters evergreens tied together, preferably on a little berm. So like they do in the neighborhood, you see quite a few of them. And that would really box it in after a while at least. I don't mean immediately, but in 5-10 years, you will really have a nice buffer. You look at Moser Landscaping down there, or there's a house on Hessenstrasse and where the lake comes out. I don't know what it's called. Right on the corner, they build a buffer. It looks nice. But just to plant some shrubs or whatever, it's not, I really would oppose that. But I know I have no input in this very much, except my own opinion. I mean, we planted thousands and thousands of trees in ours because we love the area, you know? And I don't want to drive by this place and see all these trailers all over the map. But I talked to the gentleman here and the purchaser, and I'm quite sure that he'll live up to what should be done. You know, they look like people who want it nice too. So I hope if we could maybe clarify the buffer strip. I'm not opposed to the house. I'm not opposed to the trailers. Everybody should do their own thing and to a certain extent, but I don't want to have to look at it. So if we could possibly build small berms, it's not very expensive, get cedars, 2 meter cedars, clunk them in, and that would solve the problem, in my opinion, at least in the future. So that's my wish list. Anyways, thank you.
Okay, we will be bringing we'll bring him up to speak in a few minutes. So thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Okay. Are there any persons who wish to make oral or written submissions in support of the proposed bylaw other than the applicant? Give name, address, and postal code to this clerk. Not yet. Seeing none. Now, does the applicant would like to make some comments?
First of all, first 2 weeks in Wellesley has been awesome. Thank you. So it's not the way I wanted to meet my neighbors, but I'm okay with it because we're having good discussion. I think the one thing that Manfred said that I can agree with wholeheartedly is I don't want to see it either. I do like the trailers. I do like the revenue. That's kind of why I sold the house I just finished renovating in Waterloo and said I was going to be dragged out of to move here. It's the only reason I would have left. But to be able to have that there and work with the township to make it pleasing. I mean, I'm not putting a five and dime store in there. Our financial planning is that we're a boutique financial planning firm. So I want it to look stellar. So when they're coming in, I'd like them not even to know that there's trailers there. So I think we're on the same page. I think we're aligned. My only concern and my ask, I guess, is timing. So, markets are down with real estate, happen to own way too many properties right now due to such a thing. And I'm willing to invest in the property. I'll do it as quickly as I can. But if I can wait until the spring to start and have it done by the end of the year at different levels, that would be great. But I'll do whatever.
To start the planting of the buffer? Is that what you're?
Yeah. I mean, Manfred brought up a good point about the berm, right? So moving dirt is fun. So I don't mind. I've got a lot of it out there. I'm pretty sure we can make that area where the trailers are, it's quite hilly. I could probably move and just replace some earth over there. I'm not an engineer, but I know how to drive a skid steer. So we can probably move that, get a nice berm up, and then bring in some people for the planting. And again, I'm talking about everything you want with some nicer things added in.
Any questions? Any questions? Not at this point. Oh, yes.
This might be a question of staff, but what would be the timeline as it sits now for the planted buffer?
I think in our opinion, you are getting into winter. We don't know when winter's really going to start here. It probably should have already, but we had always envisioned maybe a spring start when you're doing this type of work. Certainly, Councillor, you do this type of work in other places, and it's probably a little bit late in the year to get going. So we were thinking as well spring. And in terms of the height of trees, and we're not against a berm. I mean, our job as staff is to tell you what it says in the zoning bylaw and what we require in the zoning bylaw for other similar uses, right? We would require this as on any other commercial property where it's abutting a residential use or some other use where we're trying to deal with the aesthetics or the screening. Is it written perfectly in the zoning bylaws? We're learning, not everything is, right. And but the intent there is to provide some parameters to a buffer strip, such that if you plant it at 1.2 meters, that it's going to grow to 6, 7, 8 meters, especially if you're talking about, spruce or some type of evergreen. I don't think in this case we've ever thought about a hedgerow. We're not talking about a hedgerow. We're talking about a continuous row of planted trees that's going to mature into something far greater than 2 meters. So that's kind of how we look at it. If there's a berm that wants to be added that the landowners can agree to and they want to do that, then great, but it wouldn't be required under the zoning bylaw unless we added a specific provision to do so.
Any other questions? I'm gonna ask did you have another comment, sir?
Yeah.
I'm gonna allow for that.
And I said, I fully agree with you. It's those trees, but the 1.2 meters, I'm 80 years old, I don't buy green bananas. They wouldn't be up for 10 years. So for me, I'm against it, but I probably have no input in that. But I think if you put 2 meter spruce or whatever up, that would work. And to wait till the end of next year, I think that's unreasonable. I'm a little bit in the construction business too. I know how long things take. If you start the spring, you can have that done in a month.
Okay.
Like I said, later on in the year, that's December, but that's 13, 14 months from now. No, I think that's
Well, my understanding, sir, that he was going to look at the spring plant of some sort
100%.
to get started. And I'm not sure whether this is the right time of year to be doing it right
no,
now.
I'm saying in the spring, that's a 3-month span instead of going towards the end of the year. I mean, there has to be time.
Okay.
It was towards the end of next year, right?
Okay.
No, what I just stated was that I think it's reasonable to start this work in the spring. And I think that work, yes, it could be completed in. No, I didn't.
No, I think there's a misunderstanding.
Yeah, I said that it's not reasonable. What I said was it's not reasonable to start at this time of year. It's not reasonable to start now. It's reasonable to start in the spring. And you're absolutely right. It could be complete in a month or 2 or 3 months or something. That shouldn't take a year to do. Yeah, you're correct in that.
As I said, 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like we have willing participants.
Yes,
here,
we'll
so-
figure it out.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any further questions? None? Okay. So council cannot take a position on the proposed bylaw during the course of the public meeting. I'll need a motion now that the public meeting regarding zoning bylaw amendment 02-25-1830 Cressler Road is now adjourned and the council meeting resumed. Moved by Councillor Seven, second by Councillor Wagner, all in favor, and that is carried. We will move to the committee of the whole. I need a motion that the council rise and go to the committee of the whole to receive reports and recommendations. Moved by Councillor Herget, second by Councillor Brick. All in favor? And that's carried. And planning and development, Councillor Chair Brick.
Thank you, Mayor. I need a motion that P&D 18/2025 zoning bylaw amendment application 2/25 that the Council of the Township of Wellesley adopt the zoning bylaw amendment for file ZBA 02-25 at 1830 Cressler Road to permit the following site-specific exceptions. Permit a home occupation for financial services business with up to 4 non-resident employees, whereas the zoning bylaw requires all employees to reside in the premise. And further, to permit an increased floor maximum area for home occupation to 40 meters squared to 119 meters squared. And further, to recognize that the existing storage of recreational vehicles on the northeast corner of the property has a permitted use within the maximum area of 6,000 meters squared, and the use shall be appropriately screened with a buffer strip along the entirety of the northern and eastern extent of the use. Do I have a mover? Councillor Herget, seconder, Councillor Sebin. Any more from staff? Any more discussion?
Nothing from staff, Councillor. Thanks.
Councillor Wagner?
I just have one more question for the director. I'm going to go back to the automotive building. I'm assuming it is zoned commercial or industrial to have had an automotive shop in it. Is there any, can that unit be rented out on the property?
So to back up a little bit here. So the property is zoned A1. That use was never recognized. It appeared at some point in the past. We'll say that. We're not exactly sure when. It could have been prior to the 2006 zoning bylaw, or maybe it was following that.
Yeah, it's been in more recent years.
Right.
Yes.
So what happens when a use is not permitted in the bylaw? So it's not permitted in the bylaw and it ceases to exist. It cannot be restarted.
Okay.
So at this point in time, if somebody, for some strange reason, would want to start that business again or a commercial type use, they would have to come and ask for a zone change from council. Certainly the other, the other option of a use, because it's zoned A1, as you know, would be an on-farm diversified use, would be something that could be done on the property without a zoning bylaw amendment. That's considered a secondary use, right? Like we see some of our shops on our farms or other things like that. So, but for that type of business, it wouldn't be allowed to reestablish without some type of zoning request or possibly even an official plan amendment.
Okay.
In that case.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? So one comment. I'm just wondering about maybe a friendly amendment to put a timeline on the buffer strip. So my thought would be adding to the screen with a buffer strip along the entirety of the northern and eastern extent of the use to be complete by July 1st, 2026. Or staff.
Yeah, we just have to tread carefully in this territory, Councillor, because it's starting to sound a little bit like conditional zoning, which is not really permitted under the Planning Act. We can require something there that is defined or required in the zoning bylaw.
Yep.
But if we start treading too far away from that, it can start to look like conditional zoning, which is isn't particularly allowed under the Planning Act at this time. So that's just my advice.
I'm happy
Staff.
to take that off the table then, and it's out there.
I think
without writing it.
We're comfortable as staff that there's we have a really good relationship here going with the applicant and the neighbor. I think as staff we can certainly work with them to to get that completed in the timeline that they're both talking about. So
Fine to leave it as is then. So any other comments?
Just maybe follow up on Tim's comments there. And, if the zoning bylaw amendment requires the buffer strip, obviously the township would have enforcement ability in the event that things went on too long. So not that we hope to use that, but the ability is there.
No, I was just wondering.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried unanimous. Moving on to P&D 19/2025, the past alterations to a designated property under the Ontario Heritage Act at 1215 Queensbush Road. Need a motion that whereas bylaw 41-86 designates 1215 Queensbush Road to be a historical and architectural value under the Ontario Heritage Act. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Wellesley recognizes the Joslin Insurance sign as a temporary legal non-conforming alteration to the south facade of 1215 Queensbush Road until such time as the existing business relocates or ceases operations, whereupon the sign must be removed, and further, that the owner will be permitted to place a sign in the same general location as the existing sign for future tenants to the satisfaction of the township. May I have a mover? Councillor Herget, seconder, Councillor Seven. Would staff like to bring this report forward?
Sure, yes. Chair Brick. Yeah, I think the report kind of speaks for itself, but this was kind of brought to our attention over the summer in kind of a different context where the property was getting repainted, and we noticed that this sign had been established without consent from council through the heritage designation bylaw. So the staff recommendation is that the sign is able to remain there until such time that the current business vacates, in which case that the owner would have to either consult with staff and council for replacement or changing of or altering the sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, sorry, Mayor Noack.
Is that business ongoing in there right now? I mean, I was under the impression that it wasn't populated in there with staff.
I believe the business still operates there. I'm not sure if staff work from home or not, but I do believe that the unit is rented to Joslin Insurance as far as
a business. Okay.
As far as I'm understanding it.
Any further questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried unanimous.
Okay, I think we will move right down to admin and finance. We have AF&P 32/2025. The recommendation that the Council of the Township approve the 2026 fees and charges bylaw as proposed in report AF&P 31/2025. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget. And who would like to bring this forward? No. Our clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Nowak. So just briefly, that the fees and charges bylaw and schedules are reviewed annually by each department, and any questions on specific line items in any schedule can be directed to the director of that department.
Any questions? Herget?
Okay, I'm just trying to pull it up here. There was a question about in administration under record search. Would that be Amy or?
That would be Director Dyke would be able to answer that question. I believe the record search is for property tax purposes.
Okay, so the 2025 rate is $85. The 2026 rate is $17.50.
Yeah, that's sort, Councillor Hergat, that was changed to be more in line with other municipalities. So we realized at the time that we were overcharging for that service. And it's not a service that we perform
Okay.
very frequently. It's very infrequent.
Okay, I wasn't sure because it said per quarter hour. So if that was just the math or what, but that's fine. Okay.
I'm sorry, if I could step in. Under freedom of information, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Sorry, I can speak to that. So the previous rate that we had for 2025 and many previous years ahead of that, or previous to that, exceeded what the regulation permitted under the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. So the change to $17.50 is what is permitted to a maximum
Okay.
per quarter hour. Sorry about that.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? All the questions? Oh, Councillor.
I would say thanks, Mayor North. I have a couple. This one's for the fire chief. So I see that we're adding a fee of $60 per 1,000 gallons for filling reservoirs, which is a service that we do sometimes. I guess my question is this something that we need to continue to offer as a municipality, or can we let private sector look after that? I kind of feel that it's something that's done by private sector and there's benefits of training, but for us to use township equipment and resources to fill up private reservoirs, I question. So just
that's why the fee. Sort of stepped on right off the our 29th opportunity. Very large fill this year. That was 3 days to fill. We're absolutely correct. They can expensive. So what we're trying to do here is, if we are going to do it, all at once. I don't know if that's going to go in. So costs and that sort of thing, straight charges. So the option would be to just say we don't do it.
I would suggest, if I may, that we would have to have a motion to that extent, probably a notice of motion and then some background information so that council can make a decision. If Councillor Brick wants to go forward with that, then I think a notice of motion would be appropriate.
This is finally, we should, so this one will be covered.
Yep, I'm happy to see it go through for a year and see where we're at next year. And I just want to make sure that we're not taking on a liability as a township for something that can be done privately. So comment there.
You have another question?
Yeah, if I may.
Yes, we may.
This would be for recreation. So for Danny, I see, Danny, there's a couple different proposals to alter some rates across a few different spots. So the Bill Geese, we looked at 513 to 500 in an attempt to increase rentals. And then the community center from 667 to 550. So a little bit more substantial. I just wonder what the $13 decrease, if we think that that's going to increase rentals, or if there's more that needs to be done there. And what your thoughts are kind of under those two sections, if you may.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Brick. Yeah, for the full rate of the five from the 667 to the 550, that is definitely something that rate is quite a bit higher than our other community center rates. That's why that one was recommended to bring down to be a little more comparable to some of our other facilities and to try and rent it out a little more. And then I'm sorry, could you repeat what the other one was? I'm reviewing it as we're looking at it here.
No problem. The community center rental rates, not including Bill Geese Recreation Center, so 513 down to 500 per day.
Sorry, yeah, thanks. So again, that was every year we've been increasing them by the cost of living, the 3%, 2%, whatever it's been. And we've just noticed that those rates are starting to get up there a little higher than our comparators. And that's that. Yes, it's not a big decrease down to the 500, but it does keep us a little more in line.
Okay, thank you. And then if I may, just one more regarding the minor sports ice rental discounts. So the proposed decrease from 35% down to 33% with the ultimate goal of 30% over the next few years. Just wondering if you can speak to that and maybe if we've had any feedback from minor sports on that or any comment there.
So again, thanks, Councilor Brick. The proposal this year was to keep the prime rate the same. So by lowering the minor rate, the discount to 33%, because we're keeping the prime rate the same this year, their increase is actually lower this year than it would have been if we would raise prime the same rate. So this is a way to keep their increase in check. And then the conversations will happen with them as next year we look at the prime rates to see where they are and where we're at comparable with other municipalities. So for this year, the thought process was to drop it to 33% but keep prime the same, keeping their increase a little bit lower than it would have been if we would have raised prime.
Thank you.
Danny, did you have more to add to this?
Yeah, there's a few that I'd like to just highlight in where it says hall and kitchen rentals dry facility. The dry facility has been stroked out. That should read now Hawksville. So that's the Hawksville Hall Community Center rate that's being proposed. Then there is the line 21, which is the Linwood Small Hall rental, no kitchen, non-prime. That rate says $253. That rate should actually be 3% of $195, which is $201. That was just a mistake where we increased both the non-prime and the prime the same. So that the proposal would be for $201 for the non-prime rate. There's one other, the lost key rate of $25 should say lost key or upgraded key. The reason for the upgraded key recommendation is with our key fob system, gym members have the option of upgrading their key to a fob from a card, but the township takes on all that cost if we issue a fob. So by charging the $25 fee for the upgraded key, we would recover all of our costs on that. So that's the rationale for the upgraded key cost. And I think that was everything I wanted to highlight.
Council, any questions on those issues? Yeah, Councilor Herc.
Danny, a question about the hall community center hall rentals. I'm assuming the big expense there is the cleaning afterwards. What would you say it would cost on average for the cleaning?
Well, it depends. For what we account for an alcohol function, we account for 5 hours of cleaning after an alcohol function. So depending on what staff members are there at their hourly rate, plus then all of the cleaning supplies that we use for that. So again, I'd have to potentially email council with what those rates would be, because I would be guessing at this point in time. I don't have that information right in front of me. But again, we do account for 5 hours of cleaning after an alcohol rental.
Okay. I guess to follow with Derek, my suggestion is the $13 doesn't seem to really make a difference. I would suggest maybe we go a little further and maybe take at least $50 off, unless other counselors feel it should be more, to try and increase hall rentals.
I don't think we need a motion for that. Or would we? I'll ask the clerk. We could,
Yeah, I would say if there was specific line items that wanted to be amended, we could include that or make a friendly amendment to the recommendation. Are there a number of items that
Was
would like to be changed?
just the community center hall rentals. I'm just curious what other council members feel about that.
And just to add to that, we will have to capture Danny's changes as well in the motion. It'll be a revised fee schedule than what's been proposed, right?
Correct.
okay, so maybe we should, yeah, Councillor.
Maybe just add to the discussion with Claude. So I think my thought would be like, could we come back with the staff report that just shows what our usage is and kind of gives more context to it? So we have we can always, like, we could amend this bylaw down the road, correct?
Yep.
So if staff brought back a report saying that the community center rentals are this over the past years and kind of give some more context, maybe we could relook at it then with more. And then maybe at that point we could look at different rates, but that'd be
Sure.
my thought.
And then
I'm okay
have a
with
look
that.
at our comparators as well.
Yeah.
But okay,
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
are we? Do we need to, so you're gonna include Danny's in the motion, Danny's adjustments in the motion? It's not really an amended motion, it's just an updated motion.
Sorry to step in, there was one other fee, line 77. The $2 key rental fee did not get moved into 2026. So we're just looking to continue that same rental, that $2 key fee that we've been using for the last 3 years.
You said we could come back at a later date and make an amendment.
We can, so we can approve the schedules as they stand and come back with an amendment to the bylaw, capturing all of the recreation changes.
That'd be probably the cleanest way.
I think so as well.
We're good with that?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so any further questions on the bylaw as it stands? Oh, then I'm gonna call the question. All in favor of that bylaw? And that's carried. Yes, AFNP 33, 2025. The recommendation that the council of the, excuse me, the Township of Wellesley authorize closure of the municipal office to the public on January 2nd, 2026. Could I have a mover for that, please? Move it, Councillor Wagner. Councillor Brick, second it. And Amy, would you bring that? Oh, Rick's gonna bring that forward.
Thanks, Mayor Nowak. So January 2nd does fall on a Friday this year, and we do close the office between Christmas and New Year to give the staff the ability to take a longer vacation break if they want to by using their vacation banks. With it being on the Friday, we've had several staff members indicate that they would like to take that January 2nd day off as well. And we have very, very little business action happening over that holiday 2-week period. So I would recommend that we close the office for that day to the public. Staff can still work if they want to. But if they'd like to take that as a vacation day, then they can, still utilizing vacation hours.
Questions? Oh, call the question. All in favor then? And that's carried. So, I'll need a motion now that the report of the committee of the whole be adopted as set forth in the motions and actions detailed above. Moved by Councillor Wagner, second by Councillor Seven. All in favor? And that's carried. That the report of the committee of the whole be adopted as set forth in the motions. And I just did that. That the report of the committee of the whole be adopted as set forth in the motions and actions detailed above. Moved by Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget. All in favor? And that's carried. For information, we're bringing forward the Municipal South Huron Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, and I'm going to ask our CEO to speak to that.
Thanks again, Mayor Nowak. So the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, or OCIF, it's known as, that's a fund that the township relies on for our infrastructure needs. It's administered by the province of Ontario. It's a $400 million program annually, and it's currently guaranteed until the end of 2026. The municipality of South Huron has made a motion to ask the province to extend that and to also look at the funding formula to see if that should be revisited. And as I said, we do rely on that, and our OCIF has been dropping in previous years. So we're hoping to see a visit of that formula as well.
Questions? Seems like a reasonable request. So I think we got unanimous move forward with that. Unfinished business, that the budget variance reports be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Wagner, second by Councillor Seven. All in favor? And that's carried. New business, unfinished business, new business.
Maybe, I don't know if this goes on unfinished business, but just to bring back to the staff report on recreation use. So just asking staff to bring a report on usages for for the community centers and arenas for a February meeting. Give staff time in the new year to prepare it. So
done. Yeah. Anything else? Seeing none, we have a CEO update.
Thank you. So short update tonight. I've applied for delegations at the Roma conference, which is happening in January, to 3 different ministries: Ministry of Tourism, and that's regarding the Kissing Bridge Trail and the Conestoga River Bridge, hoping for funding on that to make sure that that project can finish. Ministry of Agriculture, that is for Fall Fair funding. As we heard from the Wellesley Township Fall Fair, they're running short, so the Ministry of Agriculture does fund them, so we're going to ask for an increase in funding there. And lastly, the Ministry of Infrastructure, and that's for funding for the township for growth-related infrastructure specific to rural areas. That's going to be our ask. Currently, all small municipalities are anyone under 100,000 population. So we're competing with cities on those programs. So we're hoping for a carve out for rural areas. Plans are progressing for a potential health center attached to the Linwood Community Center. Been meeting with the Woolwich Community Health Center and the potential contractors on this. And anyone wishing to consider a donation towards this project should contact myself or Ben Hesh at the Woolwich Community Health Center. And lastly, the EA process for that Conestoga River Bridge is nearly complete. Final detailed drawings for construction and tender are to be completed this winter. So funding is still required for the project to be able to begin. We're advocating to both levels of upper government and private funding is certainly welcome. And again, if anyone would like to donate to that, then they could contact myself or G2G. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Yes, Councillor Herger.
The health center, are they still looking to start building right away, or are they going to wait till spring?
It'd be a spring build now.
Yes. Are they gonna break ground at all, put a base in?
No, it won't be any actual construction work until spring at this point.
Okay, any other questions? Nothing? Okay. We'll go to bylaws. Recommendation that bylaws number 31, 32, 33 be read first and second time, moved by Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget, all in favor. And that's carried, that the same bylaws be read a third time, passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign and seal the bylaw under the corporate seal. Moved by Councillor Seven, second by Councillor Wagner. Any discussion? All in favor? And that is also carried. Next meeting, November 27th. Budget meeting, December 4th. Council meeting, December 9th. Councillor Wagner to adjourn. All in favor?